Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of RE309, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called The Humans Are a Weed, written by Ice Cold Popsicle. There is a form of life on Earth the humans call weeds. They use that term for plants that grow when no one expects or desires them. Earth weeds do not solely invade well-tended gardens and fields like ours do. They will grow in the middle of a superhighway if that is where the seeds have landed. They do not recognize that their situation is hopeless. They simply take root and grow. One can keep them at bay for a time, but if the effort falters, even for a short period, the weeds will prevail. That is their nature. The weeds do not care that they are not desired. They do not care how many of them are ripped out of the ground. They will colonize any crack left open to them, and in doing so, will make that crack into a fissure. The fissure will grow into a fracture, then a fracture will turn into a crevice, and soon enough the crevice will join with others and disintegrate all that existed there before. The weeds seem to be unprotected, vulnerable. The gardener can rip them all out of the ground and burn them in a great pyre. He can do that every day of his life if he will but bend down to rip them out. But the weeds are not so easily defeated. They will grow back every day until the back of the gardener is stiffened by the passing years. One day, the gardener will breathe his last breath, and he will be buried in the ground like it is the custom amongst humans. But the weeds will go on growing. They will grow on his grave. Perhaps if we had studied the weeds, we would have known not to colonize Earth. We could have burned it in a great pyre. But at the time, our empire was expanding faster and further than any other in the history of the galaxy. We needed slaves. We had conquered races older, wiser, and stronger than humans without challenge. How could we have known? The Book of the Warrior says, "Discern your foe if you yearn for triumph. Dismiss him if you yearn for defeat." I used to think I understood those words. Before attacking a new planet, I made a great show of learning their language, their customs, their religions, tactics, history, and I even studied the food. I was a promising officer in the Imperial Navy back then, on the rise and oh so proud of myself. Discern, not understand, not judge, not evaluate, discern. The ancients understood that what you fail to see is usually what does you in. I understand those words now, but I am much too old to do anything about it. How ironic. I studied their art. I should have studied their weeds. We colonized the humans like we had done to so many before them. It was barely an afterthought for the Imperial Navy. The humans surrendered as soon as we informed them that it was an option. They agreed to all our terms. They let us take as many slaves as we wanted. Hell, they even put down an uprising on their planet themselves. Soon enough, human slaves became the rage in the Empire. They cooked well, danced well, fecked well, flattered well, and they had the talent for the arts. What's not to like? Humans had no rights, no protection. Some killed them for amusement, some even ate a few, but that didn't stop them from serving us. Humans are clever like cancer. The master is a wounded idiot. Lend him your wits. The master is a narcissistic fool. Flatter him. The master is strong and honest. Respect him. Like weeds growing in the cracks, probing for weaknesses, exploiting it where they find it, leaving the rest for later. Before humans, the Empire had few smugglers, few drug users. No one worried about it much. It was widely regarded as a form of suicide. From time to time, a merchant poor and desperate enough transported illegal substances. What of it? He got caught, or he didn't. If he got caught, he died. If he didn't, he profited for a short while. Nobody cared. 50 years after Earth was colonized, hard drugs had become more readily available than painkillers on most central planets of the Empire. Measures were taken, of course. Humans purged, collaborators executed, entire cities placed under martial law, assets seized, ships impounded, trade lanes policed. Each time we took a more drastic action, the price soared, and the human smugglers made even more money. I remember the purge on Celentus 5. I was there to supervise the blockade while the Imperial Armada smeared the streets red and blue with blood. Imperials and humans alike. Selentus 5 was a core planet. I had never expected to see such carnage on a core planet, and yet we did what we had to. Until it came to light that the governor of Selentus 5, who had petitioned the Emperor for the purge in the first place, was in league with the humans selling the diamond sand all along. They had used the Imperial Navy to make a quick cred. After that, the Navy refused to intervene in drug eradication operations any longer. A century after colonizing Earth, the number of humans in the galaxy had exploded. Most species lost ground after being enslaved and colonized. Some went extinct from the misery and terror. Not so for the humans. Hell, they flourished. There were a little less than 10 billion humans, by our count, when we took their world. A century later, the human population in the Empire was estimated to be over 100 billion individuals. I couldn't give you a precise number because, well, humans. Humans specialized in solving the problems they caused themselves too. I always thought that was a neat trick they pulled. When Emperor Meridian dictated, on my advice, that half the humans be eradicated in order to slow down their population growth, most provincial governors turned to private companies to do the dirty work the Imperial Navy would not do. But the private companies hired the cheapest mercenaries, and those turned out to be human mercenaries more often than not. By the time it was over, less than 10 billion humans had died, but the humans somehow found themselves armed to the teeth with the most advanced Imperial small arms and frigates, and what's worst, armed with the great quantities of money. Humans are very decent with a Gauss rifle, but they are terrifying with money and words. They have 1,000 words for their craft: lobbying, consciousness-raising, activism, social action, petitioning, appealing, promotion, demonstrations, advertising, public relations. Outlaw one, and they will throw the term away like an empty shell and continue undaunted under a new denomination. Corruption is what it really is. Sabotage. Humans have a term. It is both a verb and a noun. It is a concept they glorify. Compromise, they call it. It means to agree with one's adversary, but the term has an alternate meaning, to diminish the integrity of a whole. That is no accident. That is what humans do. They compromise everything and everyone. They are like water, taking the path of least resistance, yielding at the lightest touch, and yet when enough water has accumulated, it will drown what it cannot carve out. Some try to resist them, of course. Those the humans could not buy, they broke, and those they could not break, they smeared. And if they couldn't buy, break, or smear someone, they simply outnumbered them. Less than 2 centuries after being integrated into the Empire, humans had full rights as citizens. Human bondage was outlawed. Earth was granted freedom as a gift from the imperial seat to the human race. A medical program was even launched to extend the human's lifespan, as it was done for my own race centuries ago, and the human language became an official language of the Empire. Our children learned it in school. The Emperor Zalurius III is a very different ruler than those who have come before him and who I have served proudly. He is not strong or smart or agile. He did not merit the throne, but he wanted the throne all the same, and the humans gave it to him. They made sure that the bright, the strong candidates were pushed aside or killed or somehow disgraced. That is how humans operate. They empower the weak and leverage the stupid. They are as corrosive as they are clever. As I write these lines in my memoirs, I know they'll never be published. Hate speech, they call it, not to mention treason. I'll be arrested, my work will be destroyed, and the new generation of Xandal would cheer as the humans impose their will upon us. How could we have known? From space it looked like a defenseless little race. But it wasn't. It was a weed. End of story. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.